Well, this is the last Ask Kenny of this year, and the question that we've got is a rather topical one, which I kind of got given the question, so I directed, you may have noticed a common theme here, I get given a question and I direct most of them towards David. So the question this year, and hence why we're releasing it on Christmas Day, when you can actually watch this, is why do we celebrate the birth of Jesus on the 25th of December? And the question says, was that the exact day when he was born? So David, over to you to fill in the blanks. Was he born on the 25th of December? If he wasn't, why do we celebrate his birth on the 25th of December? And you've researched 2,000 years of church history, and you will give us the answer. So this will be grand.
There's no simple answer, and we don't know. That's the actual, probably the the real answer to it. But there are several ways of looking at this. I think the first one is that way back in Constantine's day in the 4th century, when
Constantine was who?
Was the emperor.
Great.
Who embraced Christianity and made it kind of a legal thing rather than something that was out there. But there were so many other religions at that time. But the main thing is, I think, that the solstice, which is around the 21st of December, in some cases the 25th of December, was celebrated in many countries, but it was in Rome. They called it Saturnalia, called from the planet Saturn, and they worshipped another god. But they also worshipped another god called, what's his name, Mithra, the sun god, and that too was a god that was worshipped on around about the 25th of December. So when Christianity came in, how were they going to deal with this new religion that was coming? And once Constantine embraced it, he decreed that it was a valid religion and that it wasn't no one to be persecuted for it. So they decided to have the birth of Christ overlaid on this solstice time around the 25th of December. But you see, the thing is, in the northern climes as well, there were other celebrations at that time. And up Heliar in Shetland is another of them at the same time, all celebrating the turn of the year, light, fire, all those things. And it incorporated other gods, of course. But the main thing was the overlay of this. And I think many things come out of that, such as trees coming into the house, greenery, light, and various other things. So that's really what we're trying to say, is that probably around about the turn of the 4th century, somewhere in that area, they overlaid Christmas on the 25th of December, but they didn't remove any of the things that happened, such as having trees, light, fire, and all the other things. So that's why we have today the kind of things that we do have.
Yep. So a couple of questions from that. Do you think Constantine and that era was right? Should they have done that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it's that important, quite frankly, but I know it's good to celebrate the birth of Christ. I don't think we need to be dogmatic about when it happened. Yeah. Have you any other ideas on that sort of thing? Because I'm sure there are.
Yeah, I mean, I came into this question not thinking it was the 25th of December. I kind of assumed it would be, they picked that day to celebrate the event, that's for sure.
Yes.
And I guess the more I looked at it, and we kind of discussed a quote by Augustine before we started, and he's writing 4th century, around about the same time, and says that tradition would suggest it was the 25th of December that he was born. And some interesting ideas that they come up with. I'm still not confident it was the 25th of December he was born. But like you, I don't think it really matters. I think it's marking the event that it actually happened. And I think the Armenian church used to celebrate the birth of Christ on the 6th of January.
6th of January, I think that's right.
Yeah. And for them, that's their day of celebrating his birth. And whether it's the 25th or the 6th.
That's why it's called Epiphany, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. So it's how we whichever day, as long as there is a day when we celebrate
Yes.
the event, which is God became man, became one of us.
I think in the scripture too, Paul says somewhere in 1 Corinthians, I tried to mark it down and I can't remember it exactly, where he says, look, if some of you want to celebrate a particular day to remember certain things, then celebrate it, but don't point fingers at those that don't. In fact, the Puritans, they totally did away with Christmas because they felt it was too much of the overlay of the pagan customs and what have you with the holly and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all a bit up in the air, really.
And what is it about? We've set apart a day which, and the amazing thing is, around the world, people celebrate the birth of Christ.
Absolutely.
We're driving in the car, my daughter and I, and just driving away from, I don't know where we were going, but her comment was, why do unbelievers celebrate Christmas? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I thought, well, that's a good point. But you are a believer. You do celebrate the fact that God became man. When you think about Christmas, and particularly Christmas Day, what's the overriding thought, emotion, idea that you have when it comes to Christmas? Is it God become man, or what?
It certainly is, and I think your sermon on Sunday was excellent. It showed the humanity of Jesus in a way that helped me greatly. But, for me, the main thing that I think about mostly, and I used to preach on quite frequently over the Advent season, was the coming of the resurrection and the second coming of Christ. But the resurrection in particular, because without the resurrection, we are of all people most to be pitied, as Paul says, because if there's no resurrection, we have nothing. But the resurrection for me is the main issue. Of course, his death is absolutely important, but we must have the resurrection.
Yeah. I think that's, with all the gifts that are given at Christmas, when you take the gift of Christ, both the incarnation, his perfect life, his sacrificial death, his resurrection, his ascension, and his coming return.
His return.
Yeah. But we can have peace through faith.
Absolutely, and that's the main thing, to focus on him.
Fantastic. And thank you for all the Ask Kenny questions that you have answered
thank
so
you.
well.
It's been great. Really enjoyed it. It's been very helpful. I hope it's been helpful for other people too.
Superb. I'm sure it has.
And the Lord bless you at Christmas.
And all of you as well. Thank you.